What is up? My spy spectator spec powers here. You can call me Mr. Jigsaw fan, Mr. Saw fan, Mr. Horror person, or Mr. Halloween person because it's time for me for part two of my review of the Saw franchise. So let's get on with this, shall we? We left off from part 4, so we're gonna go on to 5, Saw 5. So Saw 5, it's another good movie. I think some of the other sequels, personally, in my opinion, were more enjoyable and more interesting in my opinion. This one's really enjoyable in a unique way, but like it's different. Like it's another different sequel. So this one, it's about a detective named Peter Stram who was introduced in Saw 4, but he's the main focus of Saw 5. He survives his most recent encounter with Jigsaw from Saw 4, and he has to investigate the Jigsaw case to find out who the copycat is, and he starts putting together it's someone that he knows. Meanwhile, these group of people are put in this trap game situation where they die one by one, and they have to try to survive as best as possible. And like you get more flashbacks with John Kramer, etc., in regards to how certain things are connected. Like it makes things more connected in regards to the last few sequels. Not everything, but it makes things more understandable and it makes more sense for certain things that have happened in certain sequels. Like explains how certain things came to be. Like, spoiler alert, Detective Mark Hoffman, who was first introduced in Saw 3 and played a major role in Saw 4 and returns in Saw 5, turns out to be the copycat of Jigsaw, John Kramer. Like, you see a flashback of how he met John Kramer, and it was in this elevator scene, and he gets sedated. Like, he gets kidnapped by getting the sedative, or what do they call it? And they form a deal, and they team up. It's a lot more bloody. I'll admit it. Very painful traps. Excruciating. That's what I mean by that. It keeps your heart pumping. So yeah, Saw 5. Here's Saw 6. Another good sequel. I personally enjoy this one. It's another symbolic sequel. I mean, they're all symbolic, but it's another sequel where I think it's really symbolic to the extent of like 1 and 3, etc. So this one is about this insurance guy. I forget his name. He gets put in a trap situation where he has to escape the Jigsaw's game, and he has to rescue people who were involved in his insurance. And apparently, he's not really a good insurance person because his company didn't help save certain people like John Kramer with health conditions, and he causes one guy to die from an illness, and it plays a big role in the movie. It gets really intense. This, in my honest opinion, this sequel is one of the most intense. And I personally enjoy the sequel. I think it's one of the top-notch sequels, honestly. The phrase on the DVD cover, "the game comes full circle," is very symbolic. You know what I mean? So yeah, watchable film, really good. Unique, terrifying traps. The traps are more terrifying in a unique way compared to other sequels. In my honest, in my honest opinion, in my opinion. Yeah. It's like imagine the hard work they had to put in all of this. It's really good. And again, they do flashbacks of John Kramer when he was alive, and he played a role in it. And also, I never mentioned this, but John Kramer's wife was introduced in Saw 4, played a bigger role in Saw 5, and she plays a big role in Saw 6. And spoiler alert, she turns out to be another apprentice. In a way, like, it's really intense. So yeah, Saw 6, highly recommend. One of the best. Like, I remember when this was in theaters. I get to see a Saw movie in theaters at the time I was recording, but I'm gonna see Saw X as soon as I finish watching Jigsaw and Spiral. Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like really enjoyable. It sounds like and really scary. So now on to Saw: The Final Chapter, which wasn't always called The Final Chapter. It was called Saw 3D advertisement wise. So it's the seventh Saw movie. When I first heard about it, I was confused because I thought Saw 6 was the end, but they had at least one more movie at the time as they claimed. So when this movie first came out, it was billed / advertised. It was advertised as the final Saw adventure, Saw movie in general, but it was not. They made Jigsaw and then Spiral. Oh, so it's about this guy who potentially escaped Jigsaw's trap / games, and he becomes a famous icon. He gets kidnapped and he has to rescue his wife. And he gets put in game situations. He had to save these people that he knows. And this one is good. It's okay. It almost feels as if it was like somewhat an extension for Saw's. Like Hoffman's still alive, Jill's still alive at the moment, and spoiler alert, you see the return of Dr. Gordon after all this time. He's revealed to be alive. He survived, and he plays a big role in this movie. You have to find out. Like, spoiler alert, he turns out to be another Jigsaw apprentice, and he's been behind the scenes the whole time. Like, he helped set up a lot of the traps and some of the victims. Like, he's the one who put in Saw 2. There was this guy named Michael who was in this Venus flytrap where there was this eye surgically implanted in his eye. This key implanted in his eye. Dr. Gordon did that. I mean, I always knew it was him because someone figured it out and told me on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god. Oh, excuse me. Saw 3, he recommended that lady, that doctor, for John Kramer's operation. In Saw 4, he caused these people to get stitched up in this one trap. Saw 5, he wrote a note to Hoffman. Saw 6, he got this message delivered to himself. He was all behind the scenes the whole time, and he lived after escaping from the Saw room. So yeah, interesting stuff. It is totally watchable. It's totally watchable. I think it could have been better in some form, maybe a little. I don't know. Definitely not the worst. It could have been a lot worse, but it marked the end of an era. I'll just say that. So yeah, saw the final chapter, and I never saw it, the 3D version, but I want to one day. So yeah, it does a good job on scaring you in 3D. So now let's get on to Jigsaw, aka Saw 8. They just call it Jigsaw. Because it was a rebrand. It was intended to be a rebrand of the Saw franchise. This movie takes place like a decade after John Kramer's death, and it's about apparently what happens is that John Kramer's it's about these group of people who get kidnapped and get put in this Saw game trap situation in this abandoned barn, and they have to escape. And apparently what also happens, and that's weird, is that John Kramer's body has disappeared from his casket at his gravesite. So it is believed that he somehow got resurrected and returned. But and as the movie goes on, it has more revelations and twists, and like you learn things about the past too. It's really interesting. It's very unique. Saw traps are more advanced in a way and scary. And there's this like it's really interesting and mysterious. Like I don't and I don't enjoy it as much as the other movies, but most of the other movies, it's different compared to the other movies. But it's okay. I'll just put it that way. It's okay. It's different. It's not the same as the original story arc. But Tobin Bell returns. The one and only Tobin Bell returns as the one and only John Kramer. So that's nice way to look on the positive side for this film. And yeah, like I was shocked when this movie franchise came back, and I couldn't believe that they actually brought back this franchise. So it's a Big Bucks franchise for the first time in 7 years. So it was interesting. So yeah, that's for Jigsaw. So that's for the Saw part two of my Saw collection review. Join us next time as we review Spiral. And I'll see you in a bit. Rate, subscribe, and comment. Talk to people later. Peace, and don't get too scared, and enjoy the rest of October, people. Halloween time. October, people. Peace. Hunter, peace.